Hey, souls and spirits out there, and welcome to this sacred interweb space where we explore spirituality concepts so we can build our own truths. I'm so grateful you are here with me. Today, we will be talking about Taoism, beginning level Taoism, because I am becoming more and more drawn to it lately, so I wanted to talk about it. The Tao, or the Tao, it's spelled T-A-O, but it's pronounced DAO, but it's spelled either way. I know it can be confusing, is a spiritual philosophy that invites us to return to the natural flow of life, not forcing things, not trying to control, but to just kind of be. Taoism Taoism is an ancient Chinese philosophy and spiritual path that began over 2,000 years ago. At its core is one simple but very profound idea. There is a natural way of the universe, and life just kind of flows best when we align with it. The way is called the Tao. I think of this like, the Milky Way that we see that kind of runs, or the way water runs. I see that as energy of the Tao. I don't think you can really fully explain the Tao. In fact, one of the foundational teachings and the opening line from the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu says, the Tao that can be spoken about is not the eternal cosmic Tao, which I think means that the moment we try to define it, we are already limiting it. We're putting it in that box that we don't want to put it in. But we can feel and experience it all around us. You can experience it in the rhythm of your breathing, the in and out, the changing of the seasons, the way water naturally kind of flows around a rock or, something in its path. Taoism teaches that life doesn't need to be forced into a place or a mold. It just naturally kind of unfolds over time. So what is the Tao? You can think of it as the underlying intelligence of the universe, the natural order of all things. Natural law, anyone? The invisible current that moves everything. It's not a god in the traditional sense, but more like a living field of energy or harmony. And the beautiful thing is that we are not separate from the Tao. We are part of it, or it's a part of us. We, just kind of like a wave, are not separate from the ocean. We still call it a wave, but it's still part of the whole. It may be considered separate things, but it's really not. When we resist life, we create tension or friction, but when we align with the Tao, we experience ease. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because we kind of stop fighting against it, stop fighting against, the natural order of the flow of things. One of the most important concepts of Taoism is Wu Wei, which often is translated as non-action or effortless action. I like that version better, effortless action. But it doesn't mean doing nothing. It means not forcing things. It means acting in alignment with that natural flow. So I want you to think about a river. It doesn't struggle to kind of move forward. It doesn't argue with the rocks or the trees that have fallen in its path. It simply acknowledges it and kind of flows around it. Wu Wei is about trusting the timing of things, about letting things unfold naturally and acting when it feels aligned or it feels like the right time and not pressured. And in modern life, we are taught to push, to hustle, to kind of control the things around us, to get things done. I feel like that is like the motto of modern world, get things done. But Taoism offers a different way. What if the most powerful thing you can do is to slow down or to soften your actions towards things? Think of Tai Chi, if you've ever seen it happen. It's an ancient Chinese martial art that combines slow, impactful, choreographed movements with deep breathing and mindfulness. Think of yoga, but even softer. It's often called meditation in motion, and I love watching people do it. I think it's beautiful. I look at it as almost a physical representation of Wu Wei. The movement looks almost effortless because they flow so well together. And it's so simple that just about anyone can do it, the Tai Chi movements. But it still has a ton of benefits health-wise and mentally, physically, emotionally. I mean, it's wonderful. And you've probably seen the symbol of the yin yang. It was real big in the 90s, early 2000s, I feel like. The black and the white circles, each containing a dot of the other's color. It represents one of Taoism's kind of core teachings, that everything in life is composed of complementary forces, and everything exists in balance. Rather than opposites kind of locked in conflict, the yin and the yang are interdependent energies that give rise to one another, reflecting the natural rhythm of the Tao. Yin represents the receptive, passive, inward nurturing, and softness. Yang represents active and assertiveness and outward and strong and creativity. Breathing involves both yin, the inhaling, and the yang, the force, the exhaling. Our day to day, daytime, the sun is yang. Nighttime, the moon is yin. Dormant winter is yin. Summer is yang. Our physical human lives flow through cycles of rest, yin, and action, yang. Even the symbol of the yin yang, the circle with the curved line in between the black and white, shows that these energies flow into each other, not simply, one side or the other. It would be perfectly cut down the middle otherwise. And the dot of each other's colors shows that within every state, there is a seed of opposite existing. Day becomes night. Stillness becomes movement. Even in strength, there is a softness. The overall circle of the symbol represents unity. The yin yang are not dualistic, but part of a greater whole. And harmony of the Tao comes from not choosing one side over the other, but from honoring the dance and the relationship between them. So if you find yourself being more yang-like energy, the active, make sure you cultivate the counterbalance of the yin energy. Otherwise, you could face burnout, and then you'll be forced into that yin energy with rest and quiet. Traditional Chinese medicine is really rooted in these Taoist principles, and health is often seen as a balance between the yin and the yang energy. An illness arises when one energy overpowers the other, or when the flow between these two energies is blocked. So how can we actually live Taoism? Not just as this beautiful theory, but in our day-to-day lives. Here's some easy ideas. Slow down. Notice when you're rushing unnecessarily and when you can kind of soften a little. I think about this a lot with my daughter, who just turned 2, and learning nowadays is so fast-paced. I know when I entered kindergarten, you were there to learn your numbers and your ABCs and how to read and write things, and now you are expected to go in knowing all of the things. And I want her to know all of the things, but I've really stepped back and looked at it, and I've been gently teaching her things when I can, but I casually kind of weave them into our daily lives. I don't make her sit down at a table with me and, do things every single day. I just go with the flow on how she reacts and her moods and how we can still play and do things, but then I casually ask her, how many are here, or what's this number, or whatever it is. I just go with the flow on how it can kind of work with her. And that's about all I think you can do with a 2-year-old. Listen to your energy. Not every movement is meant for action. Honor the cycles of rest and flow. If you've had a stressful week, take the weekend for reading or walking in nature or calming down. I'm a crocheter, so, I might sit and do that. Let go of control. This is a big one for most people. Not everything needs to be figured out right this second. I know a big saying when I was in school was YOLO, you only live once. And I think that has made us into a society that constantly rushes. We need to do this right now. We need to figure this problem out right this second. And honestly, I have a bad habit of this because I have a tendency of OCD and I need things done a certain way and kind of like right this second. But honestly, when you stop and take a second to think about all the things that we stress over, most of them don't need done right this second. We don't need to control every little thing. If it's meant to happen, it'll happen. Or, there could be a better time to do this. Sit and observe nature when you can. Just, sit outside. Nature is one of the greatest teachers of the Tao. Watch how water moves if you are near a lake or a creek or, just the gentle waves. How plants grow. How everything just unfolds in its own timing. The Tao Te Ching also says, man follows earth. Earth follows heaven. Heaven follows the Tao. The Tao follows what is natural. To me, this is natural law. This whole thing is speaking about natural law. Trust the universe. God, whatever you want to call it. Trust in them. Even when things feel uncertain or you feel like you're getting pressed to do something, but it feels like you should step back or wait, there may be a deeper order at work. And if you wait a second, if you just wait to do that thing, you may get the same destination or the same outcome. But what if the way traveled there is so much smoother and takes less time in the long run because you waited? So let's take a moment together. Close your eyes if you can, if you're somewhere safe where you can close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. and let it out. And I want to imagine yourself as water. Or if that's hard for you to do, imagine yourself laying down in a stream as the water flows over your arms and your legs. It's flowing gently and effortlessly. You are flowing gently and effortlessly. Now think about your life and where you've been forcing your energy or pushing too hard for something. Maybe you're trying to control an outcome. Now imagining softening and letting go of the expectations you have for that. Imagine allowing things to unfold just a little bit more naturally. Think to yourself, I trust the flow of my life. I trust the flow of my life. And when you're ready, take one more deep breath in. Let it out. And gently return to the present moment in time. Excellent. Taoism reminds us that life is not something we need to conquer or accomplish or mark off our checklist. It's something we are meant to flow with. So today, I invite you to ask yourself, where can you move with life instead of against it? Are you trying to rush upstream? Where can you just kind of sit back and let it flow naturally? Thank you for being here with me today and listening and exploring the Tao. I really enjoy my adventure with it, and I encourage you to look into it if you get a chance. I found myself happier in my daily life and moving more freely each day when I don't try to force things so much. If this resonates with you, maybe share it with someone else who could use a sign for some ease in their life. Until next time, stay open, stay in the flow. I'll see you soon.